Hey everybody, Professor Dust here. Just putting out a video covering the syllabus for spring 2022 of MGT 291, Section A. So this is for making sure that if you ever forget anything, you can always have a resource to get back to it. And then as well, I know some folks might be out sick the first week, so I want to make sure I cover it here. So, okay, always email me if anything is problematic, preferably directly to email, not through Canvas. And this is my office, but we're actually not going to do face-to-face office hours given COVID. We meet Tuesday, Thursday, 8:30 to 9:50 in FSB 0025 in the basement. And then office hours will be at 11:30. So I've got a class right after yours. And then immediately after that, so that class ends at like 11:25. That'll give me enough time to get up to my office and hop on this Zoom. So it'll always be on that Zoom. I'll make sure that I have it up and running. And feel free to hop into that Zoom room whenever you'd like. Given the number of students and given the concerns about proximity being indoors, a lot of faculty with large sections are moving that direction. And I think that makes sense for everybody's health. Okay. What exactly is this course all about? So this is one of my favorite quotes, and I bring it up on every single syllabus for this class or similar classes within human capital management and leadership. So once upon a time, everything in life was lovely, but that was before I had to deal with people. So this is all about people in business, right? So business is more than X's and O's and strategy and operations and finances and everything else. That is very, very important for business, but I have been in and out of a variety of different entrepreneurial ventures and management roles and in a variety of different industries long enough to know that if you don't get the people stuff right, it can be very, very problematic, regardless of how good your other items are, right? Strategy, operations, and everything that you've set up for your company in terms of the X's and O's. So that's what this class is all about. Actually, a better term for this class would be organizational behavior. If we did have a textbook, the textbook would simply be the organizational behavior text. But we call it management and leadership because we're looking at organizational behavior, which is just the study of people within organizations through the lens of management and leadership. So it aligns very well with the mission for the Farmer School of Business. In particular, we'll talk a lot about, or we'll practice a lot of critical thinking. We'll talk about ethics cases. You'll have lots of opportunities to communicate. There'll be a little opportunity to kind of flex your muscles in terms of understanding tech and how that influences a lot of what we're doing. And then we're going to talk a lot about diversity and cross-cultural perspectives as well. So course objectives, I'll let you look at those at your leisure. I think a lot of these are pretty straightforward with once you start to see the syllabus for the class, is behavioral objectives as well, right? So it's really going through a lot of the key topics that you would, should be included in any organizational behavior text. So those aren't, or class, so those shouldn't necessarily be surprising. In terms of course material, so there is no required course material for this class. You can buy this text if you want as supplemental reading. It is not something that you absolutely have to have, but some people like it because it helps give them a few additional examples. It helps give some spelled out definitions in the actual text. So I'm going to give you everything you need through the PowerPoint slides and through the actual lectures, as well as some other miscellaneous tools. But if you really want to have that textbook version, you're welcome to get it. Currently, this text by Colquitt et al. Is in edition 8, and you could literally get any edition between 1 and 8. Like, this is an example link that'll take you to edition 1. I think that you can get it for like under $10 used, or you could buy it online for less than $10. So do whatever makes the most sense for you. Class correspondence, I will do some announcements through Canvas, which should automatically go to your email, as well as I'll email you individually if needed. For this class, there's 3 exams, and they are not cumulative, and they're scattered through the term, about a third of the way through, and then at the end of the semester during exam week will be exam 3. And there are 2 ongoing assignments. So every week you'll have a module write-up and a module discussion, and I'll describe what those are in a second. And then your final individual submission, it's a big project / paper that you do, is called the Personal Leadership Development Plan, or the PLDP. So you'll get plenty of instructions on what exactly that is, and there's some links to it within this syllabus. So total 1,000 points. Here's the scales I use. As you're getting towards the end of this semester, you might want to know how close you are on certain things. Here's my roundup policy. Please don't ask me to round up. It's one of my pet peeves. It's not fair to round up for one person, but not for all. So this is the policy, and it lands where it lands. If you're struggling, I'll make sure that I reach out. Most people do pretty well in this class unless they just completely check out and don't try. But I will reach out if you're really starting to become a concern in terms of getting the class completed. So exams, multiple choice, and they'll cover anything and everything that we've done. So textbook, if there's cases, slides, in-class discussions, everything is fair game. So I strongly recommend that you come to class, because we're going to be going over slides and we're going to be doing lots of discussions, and I'm going to describe what those mean. And you can't get them in a textbook and just read and then show up for the exam. So I really strongly recommend coming. It's open note, open book, open internet. So this is 2022. And when you go to work, nobody's going to tell you that you have to have everything memorized, right? So you can use whatever resources you want. Part of being a good employee is knowing where things are and knowing how to triage information and organize information so that you can access it quicker. We've all lived with Google. Most of you have lived with it, and it's become second nature for how to use it and how to search with it. So by all means, do it for the exam as well. The challenge, though, is that when it is open note, open book, open internet, open anything, it's going to be tough. It's a challenging exam, right? I'm not going to make it just definitions that you can do a search for. A few other things. Questions are not cumulative. So once you get to exam 2, it'll only have the material after exam 1, and then same for exam 3. It's only after exam 2 material. So not cumulative. And exam 3 will be on your university provided exam day, which I don't think they have posted as of today. Your exams are also online and using Proctorio within Canvas. So you do not need to show up to class on those days. There's no reason to put 124 people in a classroom and make you walk across campus. You can take it wherever you want. You can take it at your house. You can take it at the library, wherever. I've got it set so that Proctorio records your screen and your audio, and you'll be able to flip around and use whatever you want within your system. It'll just be recording all of it to make sure you are not communicating with other people, because everything's fair game. You can use whatever you want. The only thing you can't do is be texting others or chatting with others or emailing others or calling others and things like that. Okay, module write-ups. So this is one of the 2 items that you'll be completing throughout the semester. 12 different module write-ups. And the assignments here really are pretty straightforward. I'm going to ask you some questions about the content of that week. And I'm really trying to get you to prepare for the exam by applying the course content, right? So I'm asking you questions that are going to force you to think deeply and will help you for those exams. And then also just help you come up with ways to understand this material in ways that's relevant for you. A lot of times in academics, we have a tendency to give you material that's very abstract, and we just don't really know how it applies to us individually. But the goal of these module write-ups is to really make sure that you think about it through your own lens, through your own life. And a lot of times people do these module write-ups and say it's one of their favorite parts of the class because it makes it personal, and you actually feel like you're learning something about yourself and your own growth and development. So each module write-up's got a few questions that are in there, and you'll respond in paragraph format, not bullets, not outlines. Actually write it up like a little paper. Each one is worth 10 points, and I only give 3 scores, either a 10, a 5, or a 0. You'll get a 10 if I can tell you're putting in the effort, and I can tell that you actually have thought it through, you've read the content, you've listened to the content. If it looks like you just kind of threw something together last minute and I can't tell that you've actually thought about or read the material or really grappled with the material, I'll give you a 5 just for fun for showing up. And then if you don't submit anything, then you'll get a 0. I would suggest 2 to 3 pages double spaced. equivalent to 1 to 1.5 pages single spaced. And this page length guideline is assuming you're using 12-point font, Times New Roman 1-inch margin. So if you're using something funky, that might not translate. But this is just the guided amount of text you should submit. Each of these are due once, they're only due at Friday before midnight, right? So you can do them whenever you want. You can do them in advance. You can do them, right up until, 11:45, cranking it out in 15 minutes on a Friday night. It's up to you. Online discussions, similar. There's going to be 12 of them, each worth 10 points, but it has 2 parts to it. So I'll start each discussion with a seed question, and these seed questions will involve something, whether it's a video, slides, an external reading, and those will all be provided for you. And before Wednesday at midnight, you need to submit your response to part 1. And then as soon as you submit your response to part 1, it'll automatically allow you to see everybody else's responses. And then you'll need to respond to one post made by another student in your class, right? So you submit something before Wednesday at midnight, and then you will respond to something that your classmate has submitted before Friday at midnight. And these are really helpful for creating a good culture of learning within the class. And I think it's really important that we be respectful and that we use good professionalism. I'm really paying attention to all those things throughout all of our conversations. In terms of suggested length and whatnot, part 1 entries, make them about 3 to 4 paragraphs. Part 2 entries, a little bit shorter, maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs. But really, quality is more important than quantity, right? So if you go on and on and on for 6 paragraphs, but you're talking about jibber jabber, it's really not going to help you a whole lot. I'm really focused on quality. Paragraph format, again, no bullets or outlines. And if you really want the full 10 points, here's some things you really need to think about. Because similar, 10 points, 5 points, 0 points, right? If you just kind of, threw something together and it doesn't really look like you grappled with the material. And I know, I've seen it all. I've seen a range of quality, and I know when you did it last minute and didn't really care. I give you 5 points just for fun. And if you don't turn it in, it's 0. But if you really want those 10 points, these are some of the things you need to be doing. Providing unique but relevant perspective based upon analysis or theory. So what did you learn about in class, and what did you actually apply to the material? Linking concepts to your personal experiences and making it come alive. Applying theoretical concepts to common and unique workplace issues that maybe we didn't really think about, but you're now kind of making the connection. And this is really important, especially for part 2, where you're building on the comments of others. Build on the comments or perspectives of other classmates and contribute to moving the discussion or analysis forward. Are you advancing the conversation? If you're simply saying me too, or I agree, or I disagree and don't explain why, that is not interesting. That's really not even a post. If anything, you should be applying your own novel insight to their novel insight. That's what's really moving the conversation forward, and that's expected. And then another really good way to do that is apply what's called a contingency perspective. We'll talk about this on the first couple classes. So explain the circumstances that make something valid or invalid, right? So this makes sense during X, Y, and Z. This might not make sense during X, Y, and Z. And think about all those different contexts, situations, etc., that might help this make sense. All right, personal leadership development plan. So this is your end of year assignment, and it's an individual assignment, and we'll talk about this more later. I would strongly encourage you to look at it now and get started now. And really, this is a self-leadership opportunity where you're going to engage in some self-awareness, self-reflection, which is going to help you think through, hey, how can I improve and grow and develop as a leader? And so all of the course concepts that we're going to be covering through this semester will be embedded within this personal leadership development plan. So regularly, you'll be filling out some assessments about each one of these specific topics. You'll be thinking about it, writing about it, and putting together this really long form Word document that is your personal leadership development plan. And so you're going to be answering some pretty simple questions for section 1 just to get you kind of in the mindset of personal development. Section 2 is where the meat of the personal leadership development plan is, where you're reflecting on those assessments. In section 3, you're using the SMART goal setting framework to create some personal leadership development goals based upon what you learned from section 2. So to do this assignment, all you need to do is click on this link. It'll take you to a shared Word doc. You can download it. And this is the document that you'll insert your responses to, save it to your system, and keep adding to it as you go throughout the semester. And that is the document that you'll upload through the assignment link in Canvas. So this one does have a late opportunity. If you get down to the wire and this is towards the end of the semester and people get busy, I'll give you a course grade, an assignment reduction 10% if it's late. There's a ton of students in this class. I have a lot of grading. This ends up being a pretty lengthy assignment, so I really can't handle it being later than that in order to finish up all the grading. So we'll go over more of the details later. Strongly recommend clicking on that link, just checking it out and getting familiar with it now. There is one extra credit opportunity. Please, please, please don't ask for more than that. It's not fair to give more extra credit assignments to just one person. So everybody gets one extra credit assignment. It's just enough to make sure that if you're on the bubble and you want to make sure that you go, for example, from that B+ to an A-, this is your chance to do it. This is all the instructions. Potential for 10 extra credit points, which rounds up to that 1%. On a current events paper, and choose any article you want and essentially apply some course concepts. So there you go. You're going to send that in whenever you want, as long as you send it in or submit it through Canvas anytime before midnight on the day of the final exam, whenever that final exam day may be. All right, professionalism. These are the things that I'm really paying attention to, and I reserve the right to dock scores. If I'm seeing things that I feel uncomfortable with, whether it's in your communication with others or just not showing up and not being a participative colleague in this whole environment of classes. And I think it's all important that we practice what it's like to be a business professional so that we're prepared when we get out there in the real world. Academic integrity and honor code. I'll let you guys keep these in mind. I do have ethical guidelines for writing assignments at the very end of this document that I'd strongly recommend you pay attention to. Everything's run through Turnitin for your PLDP and some of your other assignments. And, I think it's really important that we pay attention to some of these things and not be lackadaisical. I might change things. If I do, it typically will be because of something drastic where, if I had to cancel class for some reason or, COVID causes us to do something, but I will always communicate those well in advance and give you plenty of documentation on what we're doing differently. So last, final important part of this syllabus is the course calendar. A few reminders on the cadence of deliverable due dates. So part 1 of online discussions, Wednesday before midnight. Part 2 before Wednesday on Friday, or before midnight on Fridays. PLD Section 2 assessments, those are embedded, and you'll see those within Canvas. Those are due before midnight on Fridays. And then PLDP module write-ups are due before midnight on Fridays as well. And then the PLDP assignment is actually due on the May 6th, on Friday before midnight. Okay. So another reminder about supplemental readings. So I have, for example, supplemental readings here for a few chapters. These are not required. If you want to buy the textbook and you feel that it's helpful to see that information, there's plenty of cheap textbooks out there. I've used the chapter titles associated with the 7th edition, which was the edition I used most recently. They just came out with an 8th edition, so I don't know if they've changed the section titles, and it might be different for others, but it should be pretty easy to figure out. All right, so Module 1, so essentially Tuesday and Thursday, which will be the 25th and the 27th is when you have class. Here are the topics we're going to cover and supplemental reading if you want to do it, and you'll see these for almost every single module. So you'll do an assessment, should take you 3 minutes. Your module write-up, that's worth 10 points, and your online write-up, that's worth 2 points, 10 points. Module 2, exact same formula. Module 3, exact same formula. Module 4, exact same formula. For this one, there's no supplemental reading. And then we get to our first exam. So Tuesday will be an exam review, And Thursday will be the actual exam. It'll be held online. You can do it anytime on the 24th. So you have 80 minutes. As soon as you push go, the 80-minute clock will start. And you can do it wherever you want. Do it at home, do it in the library, wherever. And you can do it anytime on that 24th or on that day that it's assigned. And then we start over with a very similar formula, right? So Module 5, very similar, topic, supplemental readings, and the 3 different things you'll do. Module 6, same formula. Module 7, same formula. Then we have spring break. Then we come back and have same formula, topic, supplemental readings, the 3 traditional assignments. And then we have exam 2, same thing. Tuesday's an exam review. Thursday is the actual exam. Take it anytime in that 24 hours. It'll be held online and submit it through Canvas. Module 9, same formula as always, topic, supplemental readings, assignments. Module 10 is the same. Module 11 is the same. Module 12 is the same. This one actually is not the same. Module 12 is a little bit different in that we're going to be doing some review on the very last day of class. So you'll have some new material on the Tuesday, but on the Thursday, our final class is when we'll do the review. And as well, on the last day of class, your personal leadership development plan will be due. And then on finals week is when you actually take your final exam, and the extra credit is due anytime before that final exam. So the only thing funky about Module 12 is Tuesday is the review, or excuse me, Tuesday is career management and the big picture of OB, kind of a wrap-up course. Thursday we'll do an exam review, and then for the final class or the final deliverable, there's the final exam during finals week. All right, that is it for the syllabus, and hope this helps. Thanks.